Georgia on the road going to Tuscaloosa. Game day, the number 2 versus, I think it was Alabama 3 or 4. 4, number 4,
Number 4,
Alabama
yeah.
Crimson Tide, both coming off a bye week, getting ready for what will be probably one of the best matchups of the college football season. I'm going to throw it to you first. Like, what are your big thoughts? We're a week out from the football game, but as you, I'm sure all of us have thought about this game a million times this offseason and started to prepare what it's going to look like. What are you going to be looking for? What are you going to be talking about on all three all week?
Well, really quickly, I will self-correct. Missouri plays Oklahoma, not Texas at the crib, just so everyone watching isn't confused. Speaking of the Georgia-Alabama game, though, the Jalen Milroe factor in the SEC title game a season ago. Like, honestly, I know Georgia was dinged up, but I was looking at, and if you look at the rosters, pretty evenly matched to some degree. But you know, at the end of the day, I was like, okay, matchups should favor Georgia here. Like, at the end of the day, I know it's Atlanta, I know it's Saban, I know all that, but like, it should favor Georgia. And then Jalen Milroe just put on the cape, didn't show up in the box score as much, but situationally, it was just like, hey, I am the best player on the field right now. Georgia playing some young linebackers. How does that story go this time? Is his legs and mobility still a differentiating factor? Is Georgia showing up the way that they, showed up last year against Kentucky, or is it the way they showed up last week against Kentucky? So how do they bounce back from their poor performance a week ago? But yeah, it's gonna be fun. That feels like the overall blanket statement I keep throwing on this thing. Like, it's gonna be fun. Who wins? Us as college football fans.
Yes. I want to go to a couple matchups real quick, and then I want to get some of the matchups you're looking for. But to me, it is, and it's not even Jalen or Carson necessarily that I'm looking at. It's what receiving core can create some explosive plays. Because I think Georgia's receiving core has yet to really make that big move this season of like, we are better than we were a year ago. I think Alabama, the Ryan Williams kid is pretty darn special. And I'm not dogging him. And I know there's going to be Alabama fans that are like, oh, you're only saying this to Georgia guy. The majority of his touchdowns, he's been wide ass open. He's been wide ass open.
Yeah.
Like it was DeBoer scheming things where he's wide ass open. So he's 17 years old, going against probably the best defensive backfield that he's ever gone against. Is he going to get that wide open? I don't think so. So, like, is he truly ready in this big moment to be the superstar that we all know he's going to be and maybe he is right now? I think that is still TBD. I think the other receivers for Alabama have to step up. It's like, which receiving core can play big? Which receiving core can create some separation and get down the field? And then flip it to the other side. Obviously, Alabama struggled a little bit on the secondary, some youth back there. Can Georgia take advantage of that? And Georgia really hasn't been tested in the secondary, JD. Like, you think they could be good. Obviously, Malachi back there, but they're very young everywhere else. Bunch of 4 and 5 stars, just like Alabama has a bunch of 4 and 5 stars as well, but very, very young. So which defensive backfield makes the big mistake? Which receiving core makes the big play? It's kind of what I'm looking for in this when it comes to like which matchups could determine who wins this football game.
Yeah, 100%. And to your point there, I wonder too how much Kalen DeBoer has gotten into the bag. Like the comp I keep making on our show is game plans are kind of like packing a suitcase. And I think up until the Wisconsin game, Alabama was packing like some basketball shorts, maybe a pair of slides, nice t-shirt. Wisconsin game, a little bit more dressed up. For Georgia, though, I'm sure it'll be like, hey, bring out the tuxedo of game plans. Like everything that we're going to need, like we're having it heavily packed into this bag. It's not getting through TSA. And so I wonder if it's a situation where that gives Georgia some problems. Like when you spoke to the DeBoer scheming guys open, I wonder how effective that is against a Georgia defense that I'm sure will pack a heavy game plan as well. So that chess game between Schumann and Kirby and DeBoer and Shepard, like that to me is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch that one. I do love the fact that what they're doing with Jalen this year, just like letting him run and being just that ultimate athlete. Hey, we're gonna 10 to 15 plays that is just straight quarterback run. Let him go be the fastest guy on the football field and go do his thing. That's gonna be fascinating to watch. Early thoughts on a winner on this one? Are you leaning one way? Yeah, I don't even know what Vegas has this game right now, but I'm sure it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, I think it's 3.5. I forget which way it was. It was leaning when I checked it last. But It's tough because the last time we got to see Georgia, like they're in a dogfight, no pun intended, with Kentucky, and it's a 1-point game. And like, if you had given me Alabama's most recent game being the USF game, you're like, yeah, maybe that like gives me a little bit of cause for concern. O-line's dinged up. With it being in Bryant-Denny and what I saw from Georgia, I'm a little bit concerned about the Dogs. I picked Georgia to go wire to wire this year, picked them to win the whole darn thing. I don't think this game changes that national title pick. Right now, though, as we go to sleep on Sunday night, I lean Bama, Aaron. I lean Bama and Jalen Milroe just ever so slightly.
I'll say this. You just said like it doesn't change in your mind the national championship chances. When you look at both these teams and their schedules going forward, I hate to say like this is a must win because it is a 12-team playoff this year. And it's not the 4-team, it's not the BCS era. But if Georgia loses this, they still got Ole Miss, they still got Texas, and guess what? They still got Tennessee as well. On top of that, if Alabama loses this, they still got to go to Tennessee. They got to play Missouri. They have to go to LSU, and then obviously the tricky game versus Auburn at the end of the season. So like we say like, oh, losers still in control of getting the playoffs. Like, yeah, 100%. But like both schedules for both teams kind of sucks. So you don't want to lose a game this early in the season. I don't care how good you are, how confident you are down the stretch with your opponents, because it is a gauntlet for both these teams the rest of the season, which is, as you alluded to earlier, great for us fans because there's going to be some exciting games that have playoff implications in week 5, in week 7, in week 8, and obviously in week 12 and 13, and so on and so on and so on. So, but it's going to be an awesome game. It is going to be a 4-quarter absolute dog fest. And T-Bob and I talked about this last week. Kirby Smart, probably the best coach in college football. Kalen DeBoer is probably 2.
Yeah. I mean, what is he? 100,
right
he was 104 and 12 going into the year, something ridiculous like that. It's like, okay, don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think you luck your way into 104 and 12.
No.